Is Vampire Survivors worth your time and money? We're going to be answering that by looking at how fun the game is, how much fun you can get out of it, and if the cost is justified. And at the end of the video, I'll show you one of the strangest ways to play this game. But first, let's talk about gameplay. Vampire Survivors is one of the OG bullet hell roguelike games that inspired games like Soulstone Survivors and Brotato. But unlike those games, Vampire Survivors requires you to have a more planned out strategy and more precise evasion to win. Each map has unique restrictions that are complemented by well thought out phases of enemies that force you to change up your movement tactics on the fly. For instance, on the library map you can only move left or right, so the game will send walls of enemies from both sides with small gaps to slip through, forcing you to constantly run one way and make it through those gaps before they close. Then the game will send solid walls of enemies that will force you to hold your ground because there's no gaps to run through. If you survive the onslaught, then the game will send spaced out enemies with a lot of health, forcing you to constantly weave through the crowd. This combination of map-specific movement restrictions and waves of enemies that force you to adapt makes every map feel like a fresh challenge and a new experience. To beat a map, you'll have to survive for 30 minutes, which may sound like a long time, but whenever you're constantly fighting for your life and leveling up every 20 seconds, the time limit becomes non-existent because you're so focused on everything that's going on. When you level up, you'll have a chance to pick a new weapon, a new passive ability, or you can upgrade one of the current items you already have. You can have up to 6 weapons and 6 passive abilities, but you'll have to be strategic with what you pick. Because if you pair the right weapon with the right ability, it will evolve into an ultimate weapon whenever it reaches max level. These ultimate weapons can shred through hordes of enemies and make you truly become the bullet hell. This game will make time disappear because it is so entertaining, and a big part of that is because every song in the game is an absolute banger. But how long does the game actually stay fun? Well, the game kind of feels like it evolves the more you play it. There are unique relics that you can find on every map that permanently improve the experience. For example, there's a relic that adds a new tab in the pause menu that documents all of the combinations to evolve weapons as you discover them. The quality of life and the quality of gameplay improves the more you play. During runs, you'll be collecting gold, which can be used to upgrade your passive stats for every character. So the more you play, the more powerful you become. There are a ton of challenges that unlock new maps, new characters, new weapons, and these things called arcanas that can modify weapons and gameplay. My favorite arcana heals you for every gold you pick up, and will trigger Gold Fever whenever you pick up a coin bag. Gold Fever is a temporary power-up that gives you gold for every single enemy you kill, so you're basically immortal whenever you're surrounded by a bunch of plebs. This game has 22 arcanas, 22 passive skills, 47 unique weapons, and 57 characters. The sheer number of different builds you can do in this game is ridiculous. For me personally, the game has continued to stay fun for over 30 hours, and I still haven't tried all the maps, and I'm still constantly unlocking new things. So, is Vampire Survivors worth $9? This game is absolutely worth it. Vampire Survivors is an 80 out of 100. It is a deceptively complex and captivating game. The only thing missing is a storyline that deepens the world and makes you care about the characters. But there is hope though. They're still coming out with updates for the game, and just recently they added a 4-player co-op mode, so I decided to try it by myself. I gathered 4 PS4 controllers, and just like the last monkey on Earth, I set up the controllers so I could use my hands and feet. My Suicide Squad consisted of 2 characters that start with projectiles and 2 characters that deal area damage, and a tag-along that didn't know how to swim. Even with the pillows under my legs, the characters controlled by my feet had a mind of their own because my hams were too heavy, which caused my foot characters to run straight into crowds with the exaggerated swagger of a chode. And in true chode fashion, I didn't realize until they were already balls deep. No matter how hard I tried to move in unison, my left foot, aka Panda, would always do his own damn thing. Panda, 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 get. My next round, I made sure all of my characters had ranged weapons. And then I added an arcana that causes all projectiles to bounce off of enemies 3 times. The goal for this round was simply to contain my feet, but whenever I had to move my hands, my feet would instantly run straight into a crowd. My feet were like 2 kids running away from a bloody nonce. At the 13-minute mark, I nearly died, but I luckily upgraded a weapon to its ultimate form, which was strong enough to hold our ground until the 21-minute mark. The enemies started to close in on the group, but before the enemy could wipe us out, I came across another arcana. This arcana doubles all healing and damages nearby enemies for all health gained.
This Arcana doesn't usually deal a lot of damage when you have one character, but whenever you're playing with 4 characters, you essentially create a death ring around the group, and this death ring was actually strong enough to get me past the 30-minute mark. But the Reaper didn't kill me right away. Instead, my left foot froze him in time. So I circled around the Reaper to keep hitting him with my freeze time beam and managed to make it past 31 minutes. Until another Reaper finally put us down.
Hands, feet, and all, motherfucker. That's what's up.
If you love video games, hit that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next one. Let's go.